turtle mortality rate in the area. And we have a great team with BT Engineering. They have a great biologist who is aware of the turtle issues in Kingston. And they will be writing the environmental impact assessment report. So we'll see what comes out of there for what features would best suit the needs of the turtles too for this area.
The next question is from Elaine, and she has a question about the culverts located on St. Lawrence, and is this aligned with ideal wind and wave direction? So Steve and Ratha, I have that slide up if it's helpful if I share my screen, and then you can annotate on it. That's good to do?
Yeah, I think I just want to describe that nature has actually defined where the flow passages are from the existing culverts. Ones that weren't utilized for much flow have grown in, and we're going to try to focus putting the replacement culverts at the locations that actually have traditionally carried the most flow. So it's probably the next slide. Yeah.
This one here, Steve?
Yeah, you can see on this graphic that I'm going to draw on it. You're right. These are the ones that have carried the most flow, and those are the ones that we're suggesting to the focus of wider culverts to increase flow. So.
Hey, Elaine, I hope that answers your question. The next one is from Yvonne again, and she has a question about speed limits. Are speed limits going to be reduced on the Causeway in Abbey Dawn? Causeway is currently 50 kilometers an hour, while Abbey Dawn is 70. This is far too fast, even with narrow lanes that could get people to drive more slowly. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the session, but maybe it's just helpful to talk it about again and address Yvonne's comments.
So Steve, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I think the 50-kilometer-hour posted speed is appropriate for St. Lawrence Avenue. It's we've been on, we've observed travel speeds on it. People that will be walking will probably be protected by the safety barrier that will be along the edge of the travel lane, so they'll have a space. Abbey Dawn Road, again, it's starting from a stop condition and traveling to a stop condition, so the posted speed you could change, but it likely wouldn't. Sorry, it would not change the travel speed of the traveling public. It's the physical roadside features, and again, the narrower lanes and the safety barriers that we're proposing on Abbey Dawn should induce lower speeds and be more effective than actually changing the signage, in my opinion.
There's two questions from Rick. The first one is, there's only one public session and why just an hour? So we've been happy to extend it longer, but maybe Ratha and Steve, you can talk about why you use the approach for one public session.
Well, this is part of the formal provincial process. So we're mandated that to include a public meeting. It doesn't mean that you can't provide comments throughout the study. So even after the review period's over, we're reviewing comments from agencies. Members of the public can continue to provide comments, and we'll review them as we go forward. They'll all be included on the contact list at the very end. And really the last consultation period is the review of the formal environmental assessment document with the 30-day review period. So if you see something at the very end that you think should have been approved, provide comments. The next step after the EA phase is that we finish the detailed design. So, well, the consultation continues right to the end of that 30-day review period.
And just to clarify, the environmental assessment report that Steve's talking about is for the municipal class environmental assessment. It's different from the natural environment report that we've been discussing as well.
And Rick's follow-up question is similar. It's, will the measures considered by the consultant be followed by the city?
So yes, so the city, on behalf of the city, I'd like to say that we will be reviewing all your comments, and we will be facilitating your comments and representing you to the consultant as well. And so we'll share all your comments with the consultant and be sure to ensure that everything that can be taken into consideration within the scope of work and the limitations we do have are considered seriously.
It's also a collaborative effort. We have 3 external agencies that will be providing oversight of the project. So MNRF, DFO, and the Conservation Authority will all be giving permits and approvals and environmental oversight.
Okay, Alan, I see that you have your hand up, so I'm going to unmute your mic.
Thank you. I'll only ask one question this time. I'm a bit unclear on the hierarchy. So we're talking now about the city and the approval process and the building process. But it sounds to me as if there are multiple other organizations that have an input as to what we can accomplish here. Can you clarify who has the go, no go authority from the highest to the lowest? Or from my point of view, I want the city to make the decision. Can you tell me where we're going to be on that, please?
Well, the project involves both federal and provincial legislation and lands. So from a federal perspective, we expect DFO to be the lead agency that will provide any permitting and conditions of construction. And we do this in projects across the province. So these are all reasonable conditions that they'll include in their permitting. They may give a letter of advice. They may give an authorization of what has to be included. And the authorization often comes with conditions of environmental monitoring post-construction. So on larger projects, we may have a condition that there be 2 years of monitoring to make sure things are working after construction. The same with MNRF. They will be a guardian of Crown land. So if we have a permit that requires fill that goes on to Crown land beyond the provincial right-of-way, they have interest with respect to ensuring that there's a First Nation consultation and, again, environmental protection of their lands. And the same with the Conservation Authority. They've got a mandate for water protection, and they're giving guidance right now as part of a technical advisory committee with respect to our design water elevations. And they will also give environmental input and potentially conditions, because under their provincial policy statement, the Conservation Authority actually are guardians of the environmental aspects as well. So it's not a competition. It's a collaborative effort by all the agencies in the city to come up with the right project. Sorry, Alan, I'm not sure if that was clear, but they all have a say, right? It's a no-go with each of those approving agencies potentially. A go, no-go control of the project.
Barb, I see your hand up, so I'm going to turn on your microphone. Go ahead, Barb.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you all for the presentation tonight, and thanks for taking the extra time. I know it's getting late. My comment is about the fact that Abbey Dawn has become much of a through road over the past several years as people avoid the Highway 15 corridor. It seems to me that a lot of what you're going to do here is actually going to enhance this issue. We've had a lot of reviews of Abbey Dawn in terms of the significant Abbey Dawn forest. We have the turtles, we have the wetland at the bottom. I'm concerned that all the efforts you're doing here to bring the road up to grade are going to enhance this issue of increasing the traffic in this rather sensitive area rather than mitigating it.
Thank you, Barb. So I'll just say a couple of things and then send it off over to Steve. This project has been identified Abbey Dawn Road because there are flooding issues. So flooding issues decreases access in emergency situations as well. So it's important that we understand that the grade raise is happening to enhance flood protection measures so the residents are safer. Steve, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're reconstructing a huge section of Abbey Dawn Road. It's going to be 250 meters. So just in the wetland area. And that's because our project, as Rada said, is focused just on flood protection. So it's not, and we, purposely not widened the road beyond the existing right of way, which could have been for many of these features. We've kept it small, we've kept it tight, and we've kept it a short distance.
Thanks, Barb, for your question. We have no other questions that have come in. Mabon, I do see that you added in a note into the Q&A thanking the team. I do want to say if you have any short questions that you'd like to ask before we wrap for the night, that would be great. We're it's bedtime soon for all of us, and it's still a nice evening here in Kingston. So Mabon, I'd be happy to unmute your mic if you had some like a short question that you wanted to ask the project team before we wrap. Just raise your hand and I'll let you know that you still have another question. Go ahead, Mabon.
Yes, thank you. It's not a question. I want to thank you for the opportunity. It's more of a thank you. I want to thank Steve and I want to thank Rada and I want to thank you, Jen, for your flexibility in presiding over this meeting, and really relieved to see representing Turtles Kingston that this is not resolved. There's a lot of good things that are on the agenda that are going to meet our objectives. I have nothing to gain from this except for PTSD. So I appreciate everyone's involvement in this and look forward to a constructive and, resolve that everyone wins. Thank you.
Thank you, Mabon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mabon. We appreciate that. So before we go for the night, I do have one ask. I'm going to launch a poll. So this poll is specific to the public engagement process that we're doing here on Zoom. I used to call it a new way that we do public engagement, but we've been doing it for about a year now, and we're still learning as we go along. So this is specific, like I said, to the online engagement process. And this information is used for the communications team to make sure that we're reaching out in a way that works for you. Also, just want to remind you, I dropped into a chat a link to Get Involved Kingston. So make sure that you submit your written comments online. You can also do it over the phone or by calling customer service and asking for a prepaid envelope that gets sent directly to the project team and will be included in the engagement summary. This session was recorded on YouTube, and we resumed our recording, and I'll make sure that the entirety of the presentation, including the closed captioning, is up there for you. The presentation slides that were shown this evening, our IT team is working on getting them online for you. I also know that some of you that are on RADA's stakeholder list received them by email. So make sure that you reach out to RADA and get onto that email list, and that's the best way to keep up onto project updates. There's also an opportunity on Get Involved Kingston to subscribe to project updates. And that's all that I have here from the City of Kingston. So thank you again for spending your evening with us. We appreciate the extra time that you spent with us so that we could get through all of your questions. And again, on behalf of the city, thank you for taking part and have a nice evening.